Investor, it's Matt Terrio from Epic Real Estate, where we show people how to invest in real estate with an emphasis on retiring early. And today we're going to talk about something a little bit different, something I've been thinking about for my real estate investment, something I've been thinking about for my primary residence, and that's solar power. It seems that the whole world is kind of moving, at least the country talks a lot about it right now, and we might be moving a little bit more towards this type of energy. And so I want to talk about that and to see if it's worth it putting it on all of my income properties. Is there an additional profit stream that can be generated? I've heard a lot of interesting things and interesting angles. So I'm thinking about that. Or maybe it's not even worth the effort. So we're going to analyze that today. I've got a special guest joining me that's going to help me out with this subject because I know very little about it. So I'm just getting involved in the research. And if this is something you might have been thinking about as well, it would probably make sense for you to stick around. All right, so if this is your first time here, really glad that you found us. If you like what you hear, go make sure that you hit the subscribe button before you go. And if this is not your first time here, welcome back. And thank you for continuing to share this with your friends and family. I really appreciate that about you. You are the absolute best for doing that. By the way, if you'd like to get started investing in real estate or jumpstart your existing investing efforts, I put together a free training just for you. And that's at mattsfreetraining.com. I believe I failed to put it into the description, but I'll put it there later. But it's really simple. No special spellings or anything like that. mattsfreetraining.com. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Matt's Free Training. All righty. So my guest today, a longtime friend, one of my very, very best friends, originally started out as a mentor of mine in the world of business and eventually be transitioned into a mentor in just overall life. And it's one of my most valued relationships. And he just happens to be diving into a venture this last year or so. And it just kind of correlates with what we're talking about today. So I thought, what a great opportunity to bring him on. And I can pick his brain about what he's doing and you can listen in and see if there's a fit for you. So please help me welcome to the show, Mr. Stephen Gregg. Stephen, welcome to Epic Real Estate Investing, sir.
Hey, thanks, Matt. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for letting me be on your show.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I mean, this is not the first time, but it was under a little bit different, context last time. And you've come out to our live training events and you help people with their personal development skills and their sales skills, their networking skills, just their overall mindset. And you're really great at that. So I appreciate you for doing that. But today we're going to do something a little bit different. But before we do, I don't know, just kind of tell us what you're doing now and why you're so excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Over the last few years, I've been, like I said, I've been in the training space for a while, but after just looking at what's going on in the world, I hear the government talking about solar, and I hear people like Elon Musk and all these different things about solar. So for the last year, I've been looking into it. A friend of mine told me about it a little over a year ago and got involved in the industry. And at that time, I wasn't really familiar with it. But as I started looking at the industry and seeing all the people talking about it, I said, just like real estate, if everybody's talking about it, then you may want to pay attention to it. So that's what I did. I jumped in and I looked at solar and I looked at why does it make sense for homeowners? Because that was my big thing, Matt. I wanted to make sure that not only is it a good product to sell, but is it a good product for people to own? Does it make financial sense for them? Is it a benefit? Can it benefit the home? And is it something that's good for them long term? And then after I, looked at it, I found that it's good for all four. It's good for the company. It's good for the person who's offering it to the homeowners. It's also really good for the homeowners because it saves them a ton of money. And the big thing I saw was that it's great for the environment, taking all those carbons out of the air and all that. So that's why after looking at it, it made so much sense. It was a no-brainer at that point.
Perfect. And as I mentioned as we were getting started here, it just very much is in alignment with what I've been thinking about already. Because, the for-profit centers of real estate investing, we've got the appreciation, which everybody knows about. We've got the cash flow, we've got the deductions, and then we've got the amortization. And then when you kind of put leverage into that, it just kind of amplifies and multiplies everything. And that's what makes real estate so great. But if there's an additional profit center that we could find or fit into there, how much better could it be, And so that's why I was kind of thinking about solar. I've heard things, anytime you reduce the cost on a property, it increases your return on investment. And then anytime you can increase the income, it can also increase also increases the return on investment. And I'm thinking with solar, we could probably do both, at least from my layman's perspective. And so I pulled up a few articles that I've been looking at, Stephen, and I just kind of wanted to bounce these off of you and kind of get your take here. So this is what do solar panels cost, and are they worth it? I found this other one over here. Are solar panels worth it? Their honest take in 2022. It's like, we wouldn't want the dishonest take.
Yeah, let's leave that one behind.
Yeah, let's leave that one behind. But I kind of looked at some things, and there is stuff here that I haven't really considered. Well, first part off, many benefits here. This part. While the many benefits of solar energy are well touted, there are also high upfront costs associated with installing a home renewable energy system. Yeah. At the end of the day, the big questions are the solar panels worth it? So that's kind of what I was thinking. It seems like a big effort to take these panels, and I don't know much about it, but I just see them on people's roofs here and there. What does it cost, and what does it take to put those up there? And then what's the benefit once you do? So the truth is here, it says the truth is purchasing a solar panel system isn't right for every home. Okay, so that makes it a unique situation. So I'll probably need to have a conversation with somebody about that. Yeah. But at its best, solar allows you to reduce your environmental footprint, offset your monthly energy bills, and increase your independence from your local utility company. Yes. And gosh, in the crazy world we live in, who wouldn't value some independence? And with rising energy rates, say again.
That's exactly right. With all the rates going up like crazy right now, that's the big reason. Sure.
Yep, and it doesn't look like those are coming back down anytime soon. You know what? The inflation rates coincidentally just came out today, or the cost, the consumer price index. Yeah. And it came up at 7.5% today, and that was like, it hasn't been that high since the 80s. This is like, we're setting new records right now. Yeah. But what most people don't consider or don't understand or don't realize is when they come out with this consumer price index, they leave out food and energy. Mm-hmm. And those are the things that we use on a daily basis. So those are kind of the most important things. And there's a reason they leave those things out, or they play with those numbers, is because they would probably make the inflation rate look even worse than it does. Anyway, that's another conversation. And so then it says the cost of doing nothing usually turns out to be greater than the cost of purchasing solar. So we don't want to do that, but that's kind of what I'm inclined to do. It's what I've been doing for a while, is nothing.
Right.
So
right.
I guess, Stephen, my first question is, if it made sense, because it sounds like there's some nuances there and some variables to consider, but if it made sense for me, what is involved in actually putting panels on my properties, and how much would that cost?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. That was my big thing when I first looked at it and said, this is going to be a very big expense. So I don't want to get involved in a program or something that's going to cost the people a lot of money. But to my surprise, after getting involved in the industry itself, because the government's involved in it and they really want people to go solar because the cost of fossil fuels are becoming so expensive. Like in Florida, I moved here a little over a year ago. It was about $1.99 a gallon. It's now $3.50 a gallon. So that means the electricity has gone up as well. Maybe not at the same rate, but it's gone up, 5, 10, 15% in the last year, just in this one area. So I know in California, it's much higher than Texas, and in other places around the country, the rates are going up because of the gas. So the reason why it makes so much sense now is because the government has programs and incentives, tax incentives for homeowners to put solar in their house. As a matter of fact, the government will give back 26% off their taxes back to them, give them back cash after they install solar in the house. So right off the bat, it's 26% less than the retail price. So that's the first thing that I noticed about solar. The big thing that I loved about it, and what really made me dive in, is that the way that solar is done with homeowners, they don't have to put any money out of pocket. The big thing I saw is that they're already spending the money. So if a person's paying $300 a month or $400 a month, I had a lady the other day, she's paying $650 a month on her electricity. So she's already spending that. If you extrapolate that out for a year, 6 times 12, that's $7,200 a year. Times 10 years, that's $72,000 she's paying. Solar costs nowhere near that. So what we do is we help them, or they can get involved in solar with no cost out of pocket, no money for install, no money out of pocket down payment. All they have to have is decent credit. Doesn't even have to be stellar credit, just decent credit. And they install it virtually, 0, 1, 2% interest, very, very low interest rate. And we install it right onto the home with nothing out of pocket. So the best part about it, Matt, is that when a person installs solar, they're saving money the day it switches on. So immediately it becomes, profit in their pocket or savings in their pocket, which is, a dollar saved is a dollar earned, right?
Right.
And it costs them nothing to do it. And so that's the biggest part that I liked about it, is that there really is no cost, and they can get a big check back at the end of the year from their taxes. So it's a very big benefit for homeowners. So it doesn't really cost them anything. And you said something very crucial. It only costs them money if they learn about solar and don't do it, because now they've chosen to spend more money per month and basically donate it to the electricity companies, because that's what they're really doing. They have nothing to show for it. Where if they invested in their home in solar, they actually have an investment. So, yeah.
So as I'm thinking through my income properties and potentially doing this, because that's a lot of money to save over time. And I already know just by, when I charge $50 a month for pets, for each pet, what that does to my ROI. And that's just $50 a month. And what you're talking about is hundreds of dollars a month. So what is that going to do to my ROI so that's really got my wheels turning. So I'm trying to process this.
Yeah, that's a good point that you said about that, because if a person puts it on their rental property, let's say the person's paying $300 a month, and then you add the solar and your solar bill drops down to $175 or $200 or whatever. You're right, that's $100 a month more, right? But remember, they're used to the bills going up every month or every year. The yearly that goes up, but your cost stays the same. So when you add solar to the home, your profit will go up on that rental property. So yeah. And there's some other benefits for investors too. I'll tell you about in a minute.
Okay. And what you just mentioned there is kind of what I was processing and what I was thinking, because with all of my income properties, my tenants pay the energy bill.
Right.
And I've got some leases coming up. And, if I were to restructure those leases by charging them a little bit more, but saying utilities were included,
yes,
that could be a huge perk to the tenant, but also a big savings to me. Not necessarily savings, but an additional income stream, because I'm not charging I'm getting a markup basically on the utility.
Yeah, that's right. And you can do that because it's your property. Another big benefit that, is not necessarily written anywhere, but there's another thing that's been studied, is that the type of tenant in an investment property that people get, the quality is a little bit different, because they're used to green. They want green. They're interested in saving the economy and things like that, or saving the environment. And when that's the case, it seems to have shown that there's a better quality of tenant in a greenhouse than one that's just a regular property. So if you have two properties next to each other, one has solar, one doesn't, the one that has the tenant with the solar seems to attract a higher level of tenant.
Got it. Okay. I will pass that information on to my property manager for sure. Let's see. So down here, is it worth it? Think about location. All right. So is it going to be right for my income property? Is it going to be right for all of them? Or is it going to be right for just some, or maybe none of them? I don't know. So it says the solar panels are worth it if your house receives a lot of sunlight. Okay. So that seems like every house, right? Unless it's inside of another house. If you live in a part of the country that gets a lot of exposure to sunlight throughout the year, then you'll probably get more mileage out of your solar panels. It's a little wonder that solar power is most popular in places like Arizona, Texas, and California. Oh, okay. So even, I guess the solar doesn't go through the clouds. So if you're in Seattle where it rains all the time, probably not as good of a value.
Well, it's a good value. It's just not as good because the sun comes out everywhere. And of course, some of the times if you have, it's not so much how much your roof space, is more the sunlight and a south facing roof. That's the goal. If the more south facing roof you're going to get, the more sunlight you're going to get from that solar panel. So of course, if you're in an area with more sun than less, of course, you're going to get a better value, but it's still going to be a value because at some point, once those solar panels are paid off, you have no bill. So no matter how you slice it, you're always going to be better off with solar than without.
Got it. Yeah, it says right here if your roof faces south or west.
Yes.
So perfect. All right. And then if you have a high electricity bill, so have you determined kind of where the cutoff point is for that? Where does it financially make sense and where does it not?
That's a great question. I thought it was about $150, $200. The other day, one of my friends in Los Angeles, in Long Beach, actually, he had a $78 bill. We cut his bill down to like 40 something dollars, close to $50 a month. So it was only like $20 or $30 savings. But here was the big thing. He realized that, wait a minute, after a few years, this thing's going to be paid off and I'll have no bill. And it increased the value of his property. His property's more green, of course, for long-term sustainability. And it's also more attractive than the neighbors that don't have solar. So when he does choose to rent that property out or sell it, he's going to be able to recoup that money and then some, because houses that have solar on it sell 10 to 15% faster than homes that don't have solar. So it made sense anyway, even though it wasn't a lot of money.
So I mean, we can all see it from the outside when the solar panels are on the roof. What does it look like internally where it actually fires up and controls the energy within the house?
Yeah, that's a great question. It looks just like your electricity wires right now. You can't see them. But they're going through when the solar panels hit the roof, the sun hits the roof, it goes through your circuit, and then it goes up to the grid, and then it goes through your normal wires that are in the house. So you're not going to see anything other than if you do need a backup battery. Some places need backup batteries, most don't. But if you did get a backup battery, then that would be placed somewhere in your garage or something. But it's not something you can see. It doesn't look any different in your house. You can't tell the difference. You turn the lights on, the lights come on. That's it.
Here's the other thing I was thinking about is with regard to Profit Center. I've got a friend, actually, he's actually a friend of a friend. I've never met him, but a friend told me about his friend who owns a big, giant warehouse. And he's got, he's got a couple hundred employees that work inside of this warehouse and work for his business. And what he did is he put solar panels all across the roof, on top of the roof. It's a massive roof. It's all solar paneled up there. Yep. And so it powers his entire business. But because of the way they set it up, he actually gets a massive excess of energy, stuff that he doesn't need.
Yes.
And he sells it back to the energy companies. And what he sells it for actually funds the payroll for all of his employees.
Oh, wow.
Now, yeah. So, I mean, that's on a commercial level. I don't know how he's got that structured, but that had me like, I wonder if you could do that on a small little level to where if we had, say, my properties in the South where there's a ton of sun, if we had excess energy, could we turn that into a profit center?
Yeah, that's what's called net metering. That's called net metering. And in certain areas, one thing about net metering, some areas are trying to get rid of it because it's such a good benefit for the homeowner. It's really an essence of this. You generate a certain amount of solar energy, and then whatever you produce during the day, the excess gets stored in the grid. And then they hold it for that day, and then they give it back to you at 1 for 1. So if you give $1 to them, they give $1 back to you. And then you use that at nighttime. What you don't want to do is like kind of what he's doing, even though in his situation it's different because it's commercial. In a residential situation, you don't want to get a solar system so big that you're producing that much extra because you'd rather just keep the money in your pocket. Why give it to them and then give it back? It doesn't make sense. You'd be better off to buy a smaller system that fits your home, which is what we do when we quote it out. We find out how much solar you're using right now or how much energy you're using right now, and then we give you the amount of solar that you need. However, sometimes you do produce more and sometimes you do produce less. The times that you produce more, the excess goes to the grid. And then it stays there until night. And then at nighttime, it comes back to you. And then it's just a constant transaction. But at the end of the year, sometimes you do get a check back. We've had people get $100, $200, $500 check back. But that's the goal, is to try to make it break even in the residential situation. The commercial situation that he had, that sounds amazing. I'd like to meet that guy, find out what he did, because that sounds like a great program.
Yeah, I heard that a couple years ago, and he's one of the pioneers, and he actually sends the electricity back on the blockchain and everything before everyone was even talking about blockchain. So
yeah,
a little over my head, but it sounds
he's a high level there. That's different.
Yeah, but gosh, if you can make passive income off the sun, that would be pretty nice. Okay, so all right, and then says solar panels are not worth it if your home doesn't, obviously probably all the opposites of what we got here above, right?
Right.
Your home doesn't get enough sun exposure. You're ineligible for incentives and rebates. So we talked a little bit about the tax incentives. How else does the government participate?
One thing you didn't throw in is about trees. Trees are important because, you're talking about sunlight. It's not just sunlight. It's because sometimes people have trees over the house. I just want to throw that in there. if they have trees blocking the roof, if they cut their trees, like we have a guy that I'm helping with it out here in Florida, he had a trees in his south facing roof. So in some places that other solar companies would go ahead and install it everywhere else and charge them more money. What we showed them is that, look, if you spend a few $100, cut down these trees, we can use your south facing roof, and then you'll maximize your savings. And that was more beneficial, and it saved them almost $10,000 just by taking an extra $100, few $100, and cutting the roof. So it's not necessarily just a bad roof; it's just making sure you're with the right company that will look out for the consumer.
Got it.
That's important. I just throw that in there because it wasn't on there.
Got it. And it says it's not good for you, or a good idea for you to invest in solar if you're ineligible for incentives and rebates. So we talked a little bit about the tax incentive. Are there other rebates involved? Like how else because the government, I don't know, promote this or incentivize a homeowner to get solar?
Sure. The first rebate that the government gives is the 26%. Now you do have to be paying taxes in some way. So if you're paying taxes, then you can get that back. Of course, you want to see your CPA to know all the details of how that all works. But it's just a form you fill out, you send it in with your taxes, and then if you're receiving money back, you'll get that whatever that 26% of your purchase price was. You get that back. That's one incentive. Our company has incentives internally. So like we have a system right now, we pay 100% of their first year's payments for them. Someone decides to go solar with us, not only will we give them the best rates and the best types of product and everything else, the service, but we also give them their first year free. So we take care of customer. That's another incentive to help them go solar. There's another one for investors. Let me throw this one out. There's one for real estate investors because if you don't live in the home, a lot of the time the banks say, well, you're not living in the home, so you have to pay cash for it or come up with your own financing, which investors are used to coming up with their own creative financing anyway. But here's a big benefit for investors. They can get up to 28% discount off the price in addition to the federal tax credit. So that means they could be getting like 60% off the purchase price just because they paid cash or used their own creative financing versus using the solar company's financing. And that's big for investors, huge.
Got it. So if they use their own means of financing it rather than
Got it. Through us, they actually save a lot more money, a lot of money.
Okay. Yeah. Wait a minute, through using your financing or doing it themselves and getting the rebate? So,
through going through our company, we give that savings to them. So a lot of companies don't know this, that there's additional fees that financing companies charge, just like points and fees. It's like any other financing company. So solar financing company has these types of fees too. Our company has made a decision that we want to be beneficial for the customer themselves. So if someone decides to pay cash, that fee that the banks usually would charge us, we give that to the homeowner. So it becomes a very, very big benefit for the homeowner to get to pay cash or use their own types of means of financing if they can. If not, it's good to go financing, of course.
Got it. Okay, cool. So I pulled this other article up over here out from Zillow. You seen that now? Yeah, you're seeing that now. Okay, good.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
All right. And it says homes with solar panels sell for 4.1% more. Now it's kind of like having sold lots of houses. Like, how do they determine that? Like, how do you do a comparison? But I went to read it, and it said not only can adding solar panels to a home save energy costs and help the environment, it also can potentially increase a home's value. During this past year, homes with solar energy systems sold for 4.1% more on average than comparable homes without solar power. For the median valued home, that translates to an additional $9,274. So basically, an additional 10 grand on the average. The sale premium varies substantially by market. In Riverside, California, for example, homes with solar energy systems sold for 2.7 more than homes without, and then a markup of 9,900. It's almost 10 grand. Then let's see. In the greater New York City metro, solar homes have a premium that is double that of Riverside, 5.4%. That's an extra $24,000 in value for the typical home in New York. So in 3 other coastal metros, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Orlando, homes with solar power can fetch a premium of around 4%. So those are, and here we go. Here we got a nice little graph here. So it looks like New York, number 1, Orlando, San Francisco, United States overall is a 4.1% increase. Los Angeles is a little lower. Riverside is a little lower. So that could certainly impact your resale value, right? Put some more
Well,
money in
yeah,
your
but
pocket.
not only the resale value, but the speed, because people will buy it a lot faster. Because and if the longer a property stays on the market, the more cash you're losing because of it. So
Hmm.
it sells even 10 to 15% faster. Also, I think there was another article that had something about the speed as well. So it definitely will sell faster and for more money. If two comparable houses next to each other, the one with sold is going to sell faster, and for more money. So yes, absolutely.
Got it. All right. So what do solar panels cost and what are they worth? I like this article. It's going to walk through the process. So I guess the first step is they're recommending is review your electrical bill.
Yeah.
So as you're looking at the electrical bill, are you looking just for the price of the bill, or are you looking for other stuff as well?
Yeah, on the bill, what we do when we help a homeowner, the first thing we do is we educate them. Our my whole business is about educating the homeowners, getting them to understand how solar works. So we kind of do what's called a free solar savings analysis with them. We get a copy of their bill. They usually would text us a copy of their bill or email it to us. And then there's some graphs on there, and the graphs kind of show how much they're using on a monthly basis, and then it shows the total. So we kind of total those numbers up to find out how many kilowatt hours they're using in a month and then in a year. Once we figure that number out, then we can determine how many panels they need. And then there's different types of panels. So every home and every industry has a different type of panel. We like to use some of the best panels in the market. And of course, it depends on the budget of the homeowner too. So we go with the best panels for the least money, and because then we can put less panels on the home and we try to get them in the most optimal spot. So we look at the amount of kilowatt hours they're using, and then we find out the best panels that we can get for them and the best inverters, which are called micro inverters. Micro inverters are the best that you can get right now because you've seen that situation where like at Christmas when you have your Christmas tree lights and one light goes out, all the lights go out, right? And then you're frustrated. You got to go buy a whole new set of lights. Well, the microinverter makes each light individually separate. So the microinverter is what converts the DC energy from the sun turned into AC in the home. So each one of the panels has a microinverter underneath it, so that if one goes out, then it doesn't affect the rest of the house, and then we can fix those, individually. Yeah, and that's all included in our warranty and everything anyway. But yeah, so that's kind of the process. That's how it works. So we review their bill. We do it online. So our company is the only company that's 100% virtual. So we don't even have to go to anyone's home. We don't do door knocking. We don't have to go in their house. We do it right online. We do a Zoom meeting, kind of like what you and I are doing, and we show them where the most exposure is on their home, the best places for the panel. Then we kind of decide together what makes the most sense. The biggest thing we show them is the incentives, the financing, and how much money it's going to save them over the next 10, 20, and 30 years. And when customers see that by going solar, they save, like I had a customer the other day, saved $109,000 over the next 30 years by going solar. I mean, you don't have to think too far on that one. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? It costs them nothing. They save 100 grand on the same house, Yeah, we kind of look at solar as more of an IQ test. You know what I mean? It's not really that big of a deal.
Got it. All right. Well, I don't know. What am I not asking? What are the downsides? What are the negatives? Because so far it looks like if you're going to do everything, you're going to finance everything. It looks like if I can adjust my leases a little bit, I can increase my passive income that way, which will increase my ROI. I can also going to increase my resale value. So it seems like a no-brainer. What am I missing?
Great question. Excellent. There's a big thing out there. There's two big ones. So number one is being with the right company. Because if you get solar with a small company, I had a guy the other day ask me, can we take over his warranty, because it went with a smaller local solar company. Because solar got so big so fast, people that had money just went ahead and bought some solar panels and they started the solar business. Kind of like sometimes we get into real estate investing and they just start off. They started off solar companies, and all these small little solar companies came around, and what would happen is they would sell solar and give them a warranty. But the warranty was only as good as the solar company. Now, if the solar company goes out of business, they have no warranty on their property, on their product now. And they would ask us if we could take over it, which we can't. So The first thing is making sure you're with the right company. Our company actually has a 30-year warranty. We're the only company in the world that has a 30-year bumper-to-bumper warranty. Anything goes wrong with the workmanship, any parts, labor, and the roof is covered with our warranty. That's in our program. So that's one big thing you got to be careful of, is being with the right company. The second thing that you want to really be careful of is making sure that you I almost let some trainers out there. The second big flaw that you have to be careful of is getting the wrong panels. If you get with a company that offers you cheap panels, the cheapest, because there's some companies that's what they do. They want to get you the least expensive panels for the most amount of money. And knowing the right panels are important. And so we made sure we stock our company with only, some of the best panels out there, because we don't want to have that problem of people coming back. So those are two big ones that are a challenge out there. Oh, there is one more. It'll come to me in a second as you keep talking, because there was one more, but I can't remember right offhand.
Okay. Well, I've got 50 plus properties to look at and to analyze for this. So that could take hours and hours. So we can do that offline. you and I'm gonna have to pull out some spreadsheets, because at the end of the day, to me, it's all about the math, right? I love the earth. I want to save the earth. I think it's great to contribute to natural renewable energy. Has a great ring to it, makes you feel good. But it's also, I got 50 properties, that's a whole lot of work on my part, and I want to make sure that that effort is going to actually produce a benefit for what I'm doing as well. Might sound a little selfish, but hey, we're investors, and it's all about the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
So, you and I will have that conversation later. If someone else was watching and they want to do the same, we'll give you a plug here for your business, Stephen. Maybe
Sure.
Some of the Epic people will come over and want an evaluation on their own portfolios, or maybe even just their primary residence, because even just your house, because we've got it on our house here. We moved in and it was already here, which I did not know when I started talking to you. But we already have it. And so I've seen our build based on where we came from. And so we see the benefit already. But if someone wanted to have that conversation with you, what would be the best way for them to get out and reach you?
Yeah, well, Matt, what I wanted to do is something special for you for inviting me on. And so I'm going to give the people my personal phone number, my personal direct cell, so that if anyone has questions, I want to make sure I take care of your, people that are watching, your clientele here. So my direct cell number is 714-814-6888. And just text the word solar. And you can put your name if you like as well. And then what I'll do is I'll give you a call back, and then I'll answer any questions that you have. And more importantly, if you'd like to get a free solar savings report, I'll do that for you. I'll give you a free solar savings report online, and we can go through the numbers and see if it makes sense for your personal residence or for your business, or your rental properties. 1 to 4 units is easy. When you get over that, it becomes commercial. It's a little bit more challenging. But we have resources to be able to help them if needed. But anything from 1 to 4, I can definitely help them very, very easily.
Perfect. Well, good thing we're on video. If you missed his phone number, you can go ahead and rewind the video to capture that again. Or for your convenience, I put it down below in the description for you also. So just text the word solar to
714-814-6888. Almost missed my cue there.
I know. I just noticed I didn't point right at you. And usually I'm more prepared for graphics, but I wasn't sure where this conversation was going to go, because it was more of an exploratory conversation for myself. But I know there's other real estate investors out there that probably have the same type of questions, so I wanted them to listen in.
Yeah. You asked a question earlier about what are you missing? What am I not asking?
Oh, right.
Yeah. The last thing I was going to say is this. This is the big thing that I have to just kind of reiterate again. We said it earlier, but people think that solar is expensive. People think that it's a big cost. The real cost is if you learn about solar and don't do it. That's really the cost. And that's why I'm doing this, program. I'm involved in solar because it really is a benefit for a homeowner. An investor, of course, they would have to get their own financing or whatever they want to do, but they save even more. So there's no real catch. And that was what was exciting to me, is that I'm finding a business where it's win-win-win-win. It's win for the person who's offering it, like myself. It's win for the company. It's win for the homeowner or the person who's getting it on their home. They don't lose. There's no loss in there. and it's win for the environment. So it's a win-win. The last thing I do want to touch on is leases. I forgot to mention that. There are companies that offer leases. Stay away from lease.
Okay.
Let me explain. Because you don't own the product. It's kind of like just leasing it instead of leasing it from the, leasing your electricity from the electricity company, you're leasing solar from a solar company. We have leases in our company because it's usually for certain circumstances. I'll never personally offer one. I just won't, because it's not long-term as beneficial than owning the solar. That was the one I was thinking about earlier is don't get into leases if someone wants to offer you a lease, which a lot of the smaller ones do, because it's an easy sale, it's quick, and don't do it. So that was the big thing I wanted to share.
Got it. Perfect. All right. So text the word solar to
714-814-6888.
714-814-6888. I'm going to try something new with this streaming feature that I'm using. What if I did that? What if I did this? There it is. Look at that.
There it is.
I knew I could figure this out. There has to be a feature here that allows me to put a graphic up here, but there we go.
There you go.
So text the word solar to 714-814-6888, and that'll ring Steven's personal cell phone, and he'll be happy to give you his free solar savings analysis, whether that's for your investment portfolio or your primary residence. Yeah. All right, Steven, I appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate you, man. Tell Mercedes that I do.
Will do. And then I'll talk to you soon, and we can go over my giant spreadsheet. Be prepared. All right. We're going to need a couple hours.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care, buddy. Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
All righty. So that wraps up the show. And if you found this episode valuable, it's a very unique and different type of episode than we do here. But like I said, I had these questions about it. I was thinking there could be some potential, whether I'm reducing my expenses or increasing my income on my properties, or a combination of both. Whenever you can do that, it can have a significant impact on your ROI. And that's how strong and hard your money is working for you. We all go to work and we work hard for our money. We want to make sure that it returns the favor the best it possibly can. All righty. So if you found it valuable, who else do you know that might too? There's a really good chance that you do know someone else that would. And when their name comes to mind, please share it with them, and then ask them to click the subscribe button when they get here. I'll take great care of them. All righty. So God loves you. So do I. Health, peace, blessings, and success to you. I am Matt Theriault, living the dream. Take care.